those for parent carers and young carers are made a little bit more fuzzy, a little bit more confusing.
John, later on in the programme we'll be talking to the Association of Directors of Adult Social Services. And it seems to me that it's almost like adult social services are saying one thing, and then there's children's services saying another. Is it right to say that as things stand at the moment, they're working together? How well or how badly, don't know. But that what will happen after this bill comes in is that the life will be made easier for adult social services, but it will be more difficult for children's services. Is it as simple as that?
No, I don't think it's quite as simple as that. There's a lot of work being done by the Adult Directors Association and the similar association for Children's Directors of Social Services, and both of them organise professional networks for people who've got a particular interest or expertise in an area. And the two associations have produced a protocol about working together, and come what may, I'm sure those protocols will still exist, but the trouble is, to be fully effective, it would be helpful if they were backed up by clear law. What we're seeing a risk of is that the legislation will make things more difficult for people. I think it's important to say, though, that there are some discussions going on with civil servants, and there's an organisation that you'll know of called the Standing Commission on Carers, and yesterday they had a workshop together with a number of people interested in carers' work, and there were people there from the Department of Health and from other government departments, and it was an opportunity for people to comment and feed into the national consultation. And there has also been so far one meeting with officials from the Department of Health and the Department of Education. So I think there is a recognition by government departments that there is an issue to discuss. So whilst all the risks are there in the way that Luke and I described, I think there's also some grounds to be hopeful that there could be some ways of resolving this. So, I think all is not lost, and I think that's why it's really important that people chip into the government's consultation on the bill and reinforce the message that young carers' issues need to be fully addressed, and there needs to be a join-up, really, between the Care and Support Bill and the Children and Families Bill, which has also been published in draft.
And is there any sort of timescale for this movement forward that you're describing?
Well, that's an interesting question. The consultation on the Care and Support Bill still runs on the 17th of October, and people can comment on that via the Department of Health's website. People can make comments. If they're a bit of an amateur lawyer like me or a proper lawyer like Luke, they can comment clause by clause, but you can also comment by theme and just put a concern that you have in general terms. So, if people are worried that they don't know all the correct lingo, as it were, for lawyers speak, that you can just put it in layperson's terms what it is you're worried about, and actually that's quite a good principle that they've introduced, that people can comment in detail or clause by clause. So I really hope people will take up that opportunity, because it will help back young carers up if people do that.
Just briefly and finally, John, if you had magically in front of you the Secretary of State for Health and the Secretary of State for Education, what would your brief message to them be?
Well, I think it's great that we're strengthening the right of adult carers. We are encouraged by central government to work together very closely between adults and children, which we certainly try and do in our council a whole lot. But can we see similar cooperation at government level? There are some early signs of that. Their officials are starting to talk to each other, which is good. But we need to see something really joined up so that all carers get their rights strengthened.
Thank you very much indeed, John, for joining us on Carers World Radio. Thank you.
John alludes to some really, he doesn't allude, he's actually very straightforward about it, but he really highlights the issues that go on, really, doesn't he, in respects to this support bill, in the sense that what he's saying is that there clearly is work going on behind the scenes. There clearly is a lot of activity, and very much the activity where everyone's trying to work together on this. I still don't, personally, as a journalist looking at this, see that the public are being given a sense that what's going on in terms of young carers is being addressed. OK,
compare and contrast this, as they say at school, with what the Department of Health says on their website about the bill. It proposes, that is the Department of Health, a single modern law for adult care and support that replaces existing, outdated and complex legislation. Discuss. Any thoughts on that? It's saying this is really simple, this.
It's really simple if you just look at the world of the adults. It's really simple if you just look at the world of the adults. And actually, you stand up, round of applause. Let's have a look at the consequences that this has for young carers. Because, as John said, in terms, John Baggs there from Surrey County Council, who's just joined us, was just speaking. As John says, there does, however, leave certain things in this mosaic of different legislation that has been working pretty well and building towards helping young carers be identified and cared for and nurtured and supported. It leaves in its wake, by the way that they've done this, by getting rid of some bills and keeping other bills and bringing in new bills, it does leave a gap. And that gap is very much in the area of young carers and adult carers of children. So I have to say, compare and contrast, simple, but no, not so simple.
OK, well, continuing with local authorities, part of the carer assessment involves adult social services and, where necessary, children services. In next week's programme, we'll be talking to the Association for Directors of Children's Services, but just now we look at the adult angle. You're listening to carersworldradio.com, broadcasting a series of special programmes on the subject of young carers. We're joined now on the programme by Joe Blott, who is Executive Director for Neighbourhood and Community Services at Warrington Borough Council. He's also Lead Director for Carers on the Association of Directors of Adult Social Services. Bit of a mouthful, Joe, but welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon.
So in old style terms, you're speaking as Director of Adult Social Services.
That's correct. That's
Excellent.
right. That's right.
OK. Can I just make it clear, because there's a lot of discussion about adult carers, child carers, adult people cared for, children cared for. The role of adult social services in the context of carers is to take the lead, am I right, when the person they're caring for is an adult and not a child?
That's our primary purpose, Tom. Yes, you're absolutely right. Of course, for anybody who has a younger person who's cared for, then we work very closely with our partners in terms of children's services, but our primary concern is for those of adult age.
So, in a sense, the divisions are a little bit artificial. Do you then look at the family as a whole? I'm talking about the present position now.
That is absolutely critical, because, of course, I think traditionally social care services have been criticised for only looking at the single individual, and of